Hello, Professor Jane here. Let's go back into Love and Prophecy by Dan McCollum. We're reading chapter 12 today. Prophecy always hopes. Prophecy produces hope. Hope is the joyful expectation of good. When we give a person a prophetic word that is based on the new covenant values of blessing, encouraging, and comforting, it creates within that person a joyful expectation of good things to come. When God promised Abraham that he and his wife would have a child, even though they were decades past the childbearing age, Abraham chose faith and hope. Against all hope, Abraham, in hope, believed and so became the father of many nations. Just as it had been said to him, so shall your offspring be. That's Romans 4:18. Abraham responded to God's prophetic word with supernatural hope. This ability to believe from a place of hope qualified Abraham to be a friend of God. Like Abraham, our prophetic words come from hope and are meant to produce even a greater hope within us: strength, courage, and comfort. There's an amazing correlation between champions of the Old and New Testaments. In the Old Testament, every time a person was about to take hold of an earth shaking destiny, that God said these three things: be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you. These three virtues were God's admonitions to persons like Moses, Joshua, David, Solomon, and the children of Israel. These qualities of strength, courage, and comfort formed a basis for godly hope and confidence to launch out and do the amazing things that God had prepared them to do. In the New Testament, strength, courage, and comfort are imparted through prophetic words. But the one who prophesies speaks to people for their strengthening, encouraging, and comfort. That's 1 Corinthians 14:3. The very things needed to take a hold of an earth-shaking destiny are now embedded in the prophetic grace. This is important because all believers are called to be world changers. The Christian life is not meant to be hard. It's meant to be impossible. You can't do it without God. You must be born again. Only God can change you from conformer to transformer. We are not called to live ordinary, explainable lives. We are called to do the impossible. Jesus said that we would do the same works that he did and even greater works. A protocol of blessing is far from a bless me club. It is the incubator for world changers and culture creators. Prophecy is meant to give people the hope that they need to be an agent of change in the world around them. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. That's Matthew 5:13 and 14. You were not born to conform, but to transform. You were created to make a difference, and prophecy releases that hope and direction. Faith believes that God can do anything, but hope holds that he will do it in and through you. Hope is a personal expectation. Hope in your word. Prophetic words are meant to create hope. King David was not only a great physical warrior, he also knew how to war in the spirit. David fought in the spirit by putting his hope in God's words to him. 5 times in Psalms 119, David declared, I have put my hope in your word. When God makes you a promise, you can war with it. It seems like children sometimes understand this principle better than adults. When you tell a child that you will take them for ice cream later, they will put their hope in your word. They not only believe, they fully expect a good outcome for themselves and soon. They will constantly remind you of your words to them. They will not let you rest until that word is fulfilled. We can learn a great lesson of hope from how children respond to the power of a promise. Jesus also put his hope in his Father's words. When Jesus was baptized by John in the River Jordan, the heavens opened, and the Spirit descended upon him like a dove. A voice spoke from heaven saying, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Right after that, Jesus was led into the desert where he fasted for 40 days and nights. At the end of the fast, the tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Let's look at Jesus' answer. Matthew 4:4. Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." In this passage, Jesus honored both the written and the spoken word. He first said, "It is written." Then he shared the principle of living according to what God speaks. Jesus was not only referencing the passage in Deuteronomy 8:3, he was also speaking of what had just happened at the River Jordan. The Father spoke directly to Jesus and John the Baptist. "This is my Son." Jesus fed himself with that spoken truth. He put his hope in what God has said. When prophecy has been judged, it becomes daily bread that you can live from. Like David and Jesus, you feed yourself hope from the word that comes from the mouth of God. Jesus said, "The words I have spoken to you, they are full of spirit and of life." The mother tongue of the Holy Spirit. How does this relate to protocol? First, it establishes the importance of speaking what is encouraging. Encouragement is the mother tongue of the Holy Spirit. How will people hope in words that are not laced with hope? A prophetic word should make a person hopeful for a more desirable future. It should create an expectation of good. Prophecy is an expression of God's goodness. It is a representation of the verse we often quote from Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Does God ever share through prophecy a warning or a caution? Of course. But our new covenant calling is to be carriers of good news. Our mission is hope. God is both the source and the dispenser of hope. I pray that God, the source of hope, will fill you completely with joy and peace because you trust in him. Then you will overflow with confident hope through the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15:13. If faith, hope, and love are the three most enduring virtues, then our prophetic community must be built on this unmovable foundation. This trinity of virtues is as inseparable as the Godhead, in the same way that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are always recognizing and responding to one another. Love always hopes and always trusts. Faith and hope are built into the very nature of the virtue of love. A prophetic community must build from the source and foundation of hope, or the fountain of hope. Prophecy always hopes and produces hope in and for others. This is prophetic protocol number 12. We prophesy from the fountain and source of hope. Our prophetic words should create and release a joyful expectation to see God's goodness in the land of the living, for prophecy always hopes. Have a great day. This is going to be a wonderful week. I pray that you are encouraged today.